I am here with Robb Holman, who's an internationally recognized leadership expert, executive coach, keynote speaker, and author who has a heart for authentic relationships and a true talent for equipping people with the skills and knowledge necessary for their success. Over the last 20 years, Robb has successfully led countless business owners, executives, and leaders through his exclusive and proprietary method of inside-out leadership coaching. Through helping his clients learn how to connect with their unique life's purpose, they are able to find success in a way they never expected from the inside out. So Robb is also the author of Lead the Way, and I'm really anxious to talk to you about that, Robb. Welcome.
Thank you. Hey, it's great being on the program. And I've been looking so forward. You know, I've been listening to some of your shows and the people you've had on. And I just love getting to know people. And I'm some of the just very brief conversation we had before I went on. I love your heart and I love what you already have going on. So if I can contribute even just a little bit, I'm doing my job. So.
Well, you can just say that for the next 30 minutes. No, we're good. Thank you, though, Robb. It's really nice of you. And I was looking at your background. So you were a basketball player for which team?
Yeah, so I played about 7 years of professional basketball and bounced around a lot of the minor leagues. Now, I had aspirations for the NBA and had two NBA opportunities that never actually panned out, but one with the Philadelphia 76ers and the other one with the Orlando Magic. This is going to age me a little bit, Diane, but this is back in the early 2000s. And so I was just thrilled to have the opportunity because I'm a small college basketball guy. I went to Widener University. It's a very small private university right outside of the city of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. And so when you're a small college basketball person and you get an opportunity to play with the big boys, so to speak,
right.
Dream come true. And so I bounced around a lot of the minor leagues and that are more or less developmental leagues for the NBA. Thrilled to have the opportunity.
Well, you know, I was a big Barkley fan when the Suns were doing well here, when he was on the team. And I used to go quite a bit to those. I had Lance Allred, the first deaf NBA basketball player, has been on my show. My brother played for ASU. So I'm here. How tall are you?
Yeah, 6'4". Well, do you know what I was kidding around with people? I'm like, it depends on the day. I'm 6'4.5", right? So if it makes people feel more comfortable at times because I'm a little too big, I'll say 6'4". If I'm around on the basketball court, people are like, how tall are you? I'm like 6'5" or so, you know. So I round it up sometimes, round it down other times.
Yeah, that's so funny. Yeah, I'm considered short in my family. I'm only 5'8", and they don't know what happened.
Which is not short.
No,
so that just tells me you come from a very tall family, I assume.
I do. My sister is about your height almost. I mean, it's amazing.
Now, interesting enough, did she play hoops growing up?
No, just my brother. No, he was about almost 6'8", so real tall group. But But, you know, I've heard it's good to be tall to be a speaker, so that's got to help you a little bit, huh? They say that's one of the best things for Tony Robbins.
As you know, it has its advantages, whether it be speaking or, you know, some other areas as well. Sometimes it has some disadvantages, which, you know, when you go to purchase a car or you're looking for the right seat on the airplane when you travel, because I travel, you know, quite a bit. So, yeah, it is interesting. No doubt.
Well, I really found your whole background interesting, and I just thought maybe you can share some of your journey to get to this point of how you've written this book and how you've gotten involved in speaking and helping people.
Well, I appreciate it. And it's interesting that we talk about basketball. I have to go to my senior year of college. We're going way back, you know, 21 years ago for me. And for the listeners are like, all right, how old is this guy then? I'm 42. Yeah, so about 21 years ago. I'm 21 years old. I'm heading into my senior year of college. Now, just to paint the picture, Diane, it's supposed to be the best year of your life. Come on, it's your senior year in college. Right. Our basketball team is NCAA tournament bound going into the season. A really good basketball team. I'm captain of the team. I'm a business student. Just kind of painting a little bit of a picture. Well, the summer before my senior year, this is probably July or so, I have extreme pain in my abdomen area. Very unusual. Mm-hmm. And I'm talking, it was so much pain getting in and out of cars was, I mean, not easy. I mean, I was just like grimacing and everything. So I finally tell my mom about it. Mom, I don't know what this is. She's like, well, son, you got to go and see the doctor, you know, and I'm a typical guy, you know, no, I don't need to see the doctor. Right. So anyway, we basically come to an agreement. When I go back to the college campus a month later, I'll go and see the doctor. By that time, it'll probably have gone away anyway. Well, it hadn't. So I go get my college basketball physical in late August or so, and the doctor checks me out, and he's quite alarmed, actually. And doctors are supposed to play it pretty cool, you know?
Right.
And this doctor tried to play it cool, but I could see through it. Okay. And he basically says, you have to go in for tests right away. We're going to schedule some tests. Yeah. So picture this. I'm 21 years old, arguably entering into the best year of my life. And now I have to get tests done, and the doctor's thinking it could be something serious. So I remember walking out of that doctor's office about a half-mile across campus, and it was the loneliest walk of my entire life. Because, you know, as human beings, we oftentimes can think the worst.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 21. What do I have? Cancer? What's going on? You know, I was in a whirlwind of confusion, and I was really numb to the world. Anyway, long story short, this condition went undiagnosed for about a month and a half. I got CAT scans, MRIs, ultrasounds. If there was a test, I got it done multiple times. The mass was a mass. They were not ruling out cancer. The mass was so unusual, they didn't have a clear diagnosis for it. Thus, they didn't know exactly what to do with it until I go in to see an ultrasound specialist at UPenn Hospital in the city of Philadelphia. This is a specialist I had not seen before. He checks me out. Now, I have pain for a month and a half. You know, missed some of the preseason that year in basketball and everything. Well, this doctor checks me out, Diane. He says, I cannot explain what I'm about to tell you. You no longer have a mass in your abdomen.
Wow. Clearly,
all these tests had shown up to that point. He had all these tests, you know, that came from all over the place in his office. He was studying it. I still have pain. It's completely bizarre, but true story.
Wow.
And he tells me a second time, and now I'm looking at the ultrasound screen he has my undivided attention, as you can imagine.
I imagine.
And when he shows me and tells me a second time, I can't explain it, but you don't have anything. In the depth of my being, it's like I became more alive than ever before. And it was literally a modern day miracle. Now, leading up to this point, purpose in my life, and this will catch up to speed with what I'm doing today, purpose in my life, the reason for my existence, I mean, 21 years old, right? It was hanging out with the guys and going drinking. It was winning the next basketball game. You know? But now, coming out of something like this, I'm asking a whole series of questions I've never asked before. You know, who am I? Why am I here? What's the skill set and the gifts and the responsibilities I've been given? So to fast forward 21 years later, I now have the opportunity to help working professionals, leaders, executives, teams understand their personal purpose and see that infused into their workplace purpose. And that's when really big things begin to happen. And so I'm ecstatic. I can't believe that I'm doing actually what I'm doing.
Well, that's really an interesting story. I mean, you've gone back every year, right? It's still gone, right?
It has not come back since. And I got to share this too. Like, do you know, coming out of the doctor's office, I still had pain. And I was telling the doctor, I go, I can't. He goes, I don't know what to tell you.
So they just left you with the pain?
Well, here's the thing. So I leave the office. I know, it was so bizarre. I leave the office. I start telling people around the college campus, starting with my roommates and the basketball team and everything, what had happened. You know, with every person I shared what had happened, this miraculous event, the pain subsided more and more and more. And within 24 hours, the pain completely left my body, and it's never been back since.
Wow. Well, I'm glad to hear it had a happy ending. And I agree with all that you said is helping people understand their purpose and their overall goal and mission and vision and all that can be so really huge. And I think I talk to a lot of people just like you do. You know, we speak, we consult and all that. And do you run into a lot of leaders who really just don't share their vision, or they don't help people determine how what they do ties into the overall company's vision? And why do you think that happens? How do we fix that?
Great question. I could not agree more. I mean, I find that more than I'd like to admit in working with people, coming alongside people. I think one of the reasons is when we're talking about our personal lives, there's still people like to separate, you know, personal from professional. But I'm here to tell everyone, we take ourselves with us wherever we go. So think of any title, any role, you are yourself. And I've just found it's so liberating when you can slowly but surely be yourself regardless of what you do and where you find yourself. So in a sense, I like to say it this way. we can keep our life in categorical boxes, view it very black and white. Mm-hmm. And to be like, well, when I'm at work, it's just work. I'm not going to think about anything else. And I'm just going to put on my work hat. And then when I go home, I'm going to leave my work hat off and I'm going to put my home hat on.
Right.
It sounds good. Like I can completely separate. Yeah. But I always like to tell people, how's it working for you?
Yeah.
Because the bottom line is we are who we are regardless of where we are, what we're doing. We bring stuff home and we bring stuff to work. And so I just found that when we begin to tap into the greatness that's within us, now it sets us up for success in the workplace. And that's the place where we hang out, quite a few hours during the course of the week. So I think it's leaders being willing to take a deeper look within themselves, not to find all that's bad about them, to actually find and embrace the seeds of greatness that are already in them and pull them out.
Well, there's just so many discussions out there about engagement and how people, we have most of the workplace is pretty much not engaged. We have a very small percentage that really are. And a lot of that is because of the culture of how leaders are interacting with people or how people, what their expectations are. There's so many different explanations for why this is the case. So what do you think is the biggest reason for disengagement and how do we fix that?
Yeah, great question.
Easy question, right?
Yeah. Boy, do we have about 5 hours so I can unpack that? Right. Yeah. I love a Deloitte study that came out back in 2014, and it rings true today in early part of 2018 as well. And my experience tells me exactly the same thing. I've had an opportunity, Diane, to start 9 different organizations in the last 20 years. I'm a classic serial entrepreneur. Uh-huh. And so my experience and then statistics to back it up as well, that nearly 90% of employees, team members, worker bees, et cetera, are disengaged from their work. And I'll define disengagement in just a minute. And then the leaders of those workers, the leaders, the business owners, executives, the supervisors, the department heads, et cetera, about 80% are disengaged in what they do day in and day out. Those are pretty alarming statistics. Disengagement, I define it as a lack of meaningful purpose and passion in what they do.
Yeah.
So, in the midst of that, listen, leaders know that there's a glaring issue. There's no doubt about it. But it's what they're throwing at this problem. There over $500 billion in the United States alone is spent to try to solve that problem, that disengagement gap.
Yeah.
But I have found that, and these aren't all bad things. My hat does go off to a lot of leaders that are trying to make it happen. But I've just found that it's a lot of outside techniques, strategies, incentives, more on the motivational side, and I'll get into that in a minute, just trying to sway the heart and the mind of the person. It's like these outside things trying to get into the heart, mm-hmm. right? Hoping to sway and infuse purpose and passion. And it can work, but I've just found it's not long lasting. And I want to see vibrancy and long-term sustainability. I don't want to see just one or the other. And I think they do go hand in hand. I wrote a book called Lead the Way, uh-huh. and this gets into the heart of my inside-out leadership principles. Again, I just view it's a different way, and dare I even say a better way, a more effective way that helps infuse purpose and passion into the worker. Because we take a look at the leader first, the worker first, the heart, the mind, how they're wired, what inspires them to action. In a sense, it's the true difference between motivation and inspiration. Motivation is giving people reasons to act, mm-hmm. whereas inspiration is it hits the depth of who we are and we're compelled to act because of that very thing. So I just love to get into the heart of the matter. Let's not put Band-Aids on things. Let's not work from the outside in. Let's get to the heart and the mind of the individual. Let them know how unique, significant, special, the things that truly matter to them so they can feel good and confident, not cocky, but confident, and then begin to bridge the gap from their personal life into their professional life.
Well, you brought up some things that kind of tie into the book I wrote and I'm writing. But I write about different things, but curiosity is one of the things I write about. So you've got motivation, you've got drive, you've got curiosity, and you kind of differentiated motivation from other things. So where do you see curiosity fitting into the whole picture of how do we develop that, or can you?
Yeah, we are all born explorers.
Uh-huh.
I mean, think about it. Every human being on the planet, when we're born into this world, there's one question even at an early age. This builds right into curiosity and creativity, et cetera. Mm-hmm. There's one word that young children say an awful lot. Now, as we grow up, we become so sophisticated, but we say the same thing too, and it's why. Mm-hmm. We love asking my kids. I have a 9-year-old, Diane. I have a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old. I love being a hubby and I love being a dad. There's nothing better. But there's one thing my kids say over and over and over again in different ways, shapes, and forms, and it's why. Dad, why? Mm-hmm. Why do we have to do this? It can be maybe a negative bent at times, but I'm trying to encourage my kids with that positive. The reason being, whether you're 5 years old or 50 or whatever age you are, the spirit of curiosity is there. And we want to fan that at an early age. We want to fan that regardless of your age, because it's like going on a self-exploration to find the things hidden in you just so you can find them, about how you're designed, how you're created, how you're knit together, your strengths, your gifts, your talents, all these different things. That right there. So I just feel like this. If we can do certain practical things to keep the spirit of curiosity alive in each one of us, that's what we need to do. Sadly, in the workplace and at home, we put that spirit of curiosity out. Do it because I said so. That's what parents say a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm just committed, whether it be at home or in the workplace with my team members, I'm going to do some things like, hey, if there's the spirit of curiosity, why do we have to do this, Rob? Mm-hmm. I'm going to take the time that's necessary to explain so that person can understand the why and the why behind the why, and so they can begin to have greater appreciation for it.
Do you think that technology is impacting our curiosity in a positive or negative way? I'm curious what you think of that.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting, technology, isn't it though? I mean, it's our best friend or worst enemy. I think this fits that. I think that it has the ability to spark curiosity. It has the ability. Mm-hmm. Does it actually do that in a very deep, or dare I say profound level? Not as much as I'd like to see and experience. And I think because, if I'm really honest with you, I think technology is great because the world is getting smaller. Or we can reach more people all over the globe through our message, through relationships. But if we were really honest, mm-hmm. how deep are those relationships?
Yeah.
How much are we really prodding in those, or are we just reaching the masses through the more I live at age 42, with every year, I don't want as many people to hear my message, although that's attractive. Uh-huh. I want there to be few that get it very deeply, because I know from there, if a few get it very deeply, there can be great movement, multiplication, enhancement, and growth that come from that one person at a time. But the temptation's there. I'm just going to get it out. It's going to give me the spirit of curiosity because people are hearing this. I'm going to, uh-huh. But so best friend, worst enemy. So I think the ability's there, but yet we're not, in my opinion, we're not leveraging it.
Uh-huh. Well, I understand what you're saying, but I think that there's so many things that we need to help people to do to become better in the workplace and leaders to become more effective. And I'm sure you've tried doing this with your writing and your speaking, and we're all trying that as consultants and speakers. And it's a challenge because everybody's so different. You have to meet their unique needs, but then there's so many people, like you said. And that's why I'm interested in what you're doing with your inside out leadership and what are the foundations of that. Can you just give a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. Okay. I'm a builder, right? Starting so many different companies, and the quicker I work myself out of a job and then go and do it again, I get so excited about it. And so for me, being kind of that serial entrepreneur, that true builder of business, I just find foundations are so important. Mm-hmm. One of the inside out leadership foundations I talk about is redefining success. And one of the things is we could just get swept off our feet and let our culture define success for us. And this is both personally and professionally. But I'm just like, there's things out there like, well, we should be married by a certain age, 6-figure income by a certain age, the house with certain square footage and kids by a certain age. I'm going to write my book by a certain, blah, 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 blah. The list goes on.
Right.
But is that right? Should we actually let our culture define success for us? Or should we actually be willing to take a closer look at the things that truly matter to us as unique and significant individuals and to determine what success truly means for us? In the midst of that now, you know what? The timeline could look very different for us than it looks for the rest of our culture, the rest of the world. So I've just found that when we have the opportunity and we embrace redefining success based on the things that truly matter, now we can really go somewhere. That's a true foundation that begins to be built under our feet. So above surface now, things begin to make much more sense. Right. You know, another foundation is it's about perspective. You know, so much is determined by our perspective on ourselves, on others, the people we lead, the people we have an opportunity to influence. And for me, I want to have what I call an abundance perspective. You know, I don't want to have, you know, more that victor perspective, not victim perspective, not, you know, oh my goodness, like I can't believe this person hurt me. But, you know, I'm not saying there's wounds and hurts that people have in their personal, professional life. I get that. I've been there. But I believe there's a place to live in and out of where we can see not only ourselves, those that we influence and impact all around us from what I call a higher perspective, an abundance perspective, that we're looking for the good in every situation. We're looking for the good, much quicker to look for the good in people than point out the faults in people. And I find that when we do that personally, we also do that professionally. That's the place where magic happens. People are looking all around us to be inspired. They're looking to be empowered. And so when we can begin to have that higher perspective, it truly inspires people and compels them to increase productivity. It's pretty wild. So there's just two foundations. Yeah.
Well, you know, I'm interested in your book, Lead the Way, and all the things you talk about and what we're discussing here. It just brings to mind a lot of the questions people ask on my show a lot. And I'm curious your perception of the generational differences. And do you discuss that in your book at all? Do you talk about that in your consulting and your speaking? Is it the same? Are we all engaged the same amount of, you know, different generations, or are there different issues for each generation?
Yeah, I don't touch that topic specifically because I don't want to be too on the edge, Diane. No, I tell you, no. I'm so glad you brought it up. Yes, are there unique differences certainly within different generations? Absolutely. I think if we ignore that, we got to understand what makes the younger generation, the millennial generation tick, what makes the baby boomers, what makes the Gen X, what makes us tick. I mean, some of it's pre 9/11, some of it's post 9/11. We're just impacted by cultural things all the time. Mm-hmm. However, where I tend to focus a little bit more in this season of my life with my time and energy is, hey, I understand that there is some unique generational differences. However, at the very essence of human beings, whether you're 18 or you're 80, whether you live in the Middle East, which I do a lot of training in the Middle East, or in the Western part of the world, people are people. Mm-hmm. And I like to keep it simple to say, at the end of the day, what is it that brings us together? What are the unique things in each one of us? Certainly, I don't want to, that's a big part of my message. I want to find out, but there are common things as human beings that we all share. Right. We all have relational dynamics that we have to deal with. Now, it could rear its head differently in the Middle East than it's going to be in the West, because in the Middle East, for instance, right, and the Eastern part of the world, they deal a lot with shame and honor. In the Western part of the world, it's guilt and innocence. So it can rear its head differently, but at the core of every human being, we're all knit together, and there's common bonds that do bring us together as human beings. So I like to touch on those things. However, built within that, I like to bring out the uniqueness in each specific individual. Think about this way. 7.5 billion people on the planet. I mean, people have worked this out, scientists and mathematicians. I don't know who does this, but I'm just thankful they're there. That arguably about over 100 billion people have ever lived on the earth. 7.5 billion live on the earth today. That's a lot of people. Yeah. There's common things that bring us all together, but no one's made like you, Diane. Yeah. And in a unique fashion. No one loves people the way that you do, serves them the way that you do, solves problems in the way that you solve them. So therefore, wow, the more that you understand who you are and who you're not as much, right, now you embrace those seeds of greatness and you can walk with confidence. And I really like to highlight that in people.
Well, that's a huge part of emotional intelligence, and, having empathy and understanding our own, what we are capable of and what others are capable of. And I think that's a really important thing. And I just want to kind of wrap things up by saying, what would you like for people to get out of Lead the Way, your book? What's the biggest thing that you think that people will get from reading it?
Yeah. At the end of the day, every person listening has an opportunity. And the opportunity that's there, regardless of where you are in your life, your age, your season of life, what life circumstances have thrown at you, regardless of all that, you have an opportunity in this time, in this season, in this moment to discover or rediscover your personal purpose and live according to it. And when you do, and you go on the self-discovery process, when you do, now you take yourself with you wherever you go. And now you take yourself with you with that executive team that you're leading, that core group of people that you have a chance to impact and influence in a positive fashion, a positive way. Now you start engaging with your team because it stems from your personal life. You become a fire hydrant of passion and purpose that's now infused in the workplace, and it begins to spill up and over on the people that you spend time with day in and day out. And that is when real change and enhancement and movement happens in the workplace. And I want to encourage every person, today's your opportunity to discover or rediscover who you are and why you exist.
Well, I think that's a great message. And I think a lot of people want to know how they could get your book and how they could find out more about maybe having you come speak or consult with them. So can you share your websites?
Yeah, sure. So personal brand website is robbholman.com. Robb spelled with 2 B's. People when I was younger, Diane, used to have a lot of fun with that. You know, having an extra B to my name. Trust me, it's not some rebellious thing I did in my teenage years. My mom and the doctor came up with it when I was born. But yeah, so it's Robb Holman, Robb with 2 B's, Holman.com. And then the book website is leadthewaybook.com.
Well, this is awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show, Robb. I really enjoyed it.
Hey, it's a joy speaking with you. I look forward to continuing the conversation, and thank you for your audience and their attention. Thank you.